Okay, you guys, today we're going to be starting a weaving project. We're going to spend 2 weeks working on this, and then we're going to do a smaller weaving project for a third day. Weaving's really fun, and it's an important skill. You learn a lot from weaving. Eye-hand coordination, patterns, there's all kinds of things we can do. So we're just going to be weaving for fun, but it'll also teach you a really important skill and increase your art abilities, okay? So the way you weave is you go over, under, over, under, like a pattern, okay? So each of these, you can think of it as like a hurdle. Like I have to go over one and then under the next one, and then over and then under, and then over and then under, and then over and then under, okay? And then when you go back, you have to do the opposite. So if you end on an under here on this end, when you go back, you have to go back over, under, okay? If you end on an over, you have to go back under. If you end on an under, you have to go back over, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the first 1, 2, 3 layers, first 3 rows, I guess. And then I'm gonna pull my yarn out, and then we're gonna start together, okay? And then after that, once you get going, if you've got it, you're gonna go back to your seat, or you're gonna weave independently. And if you don't have it, we'll come around and help you, okay? All right, so like I said, I'm gonna take my piece of yarn. I've got red. You can pick any color you want. I'm gonna go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. You see how the red is kind of under every other one, okay? And then I'm gonna pull it through. And I'm gonna leave, this week we're gonna leave a short tail like this, okay? And then you wanna scooch it to the top. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Got it? Okay, so I'm leaving a tail and I'm scooching it to the top. Now we're gonna weave with the long piece. We don't wanna weave with the little short piece. That we're gonna weave back in later, okay? So I ended on an under, so I'm gonna go back. Remember, I'm gonna show you the first 3 rows. I ended on an under, so I'm gonna go back over, under, over, under, over, under. And look, oops, I accidentally do 2 overs there. So I'm gonna go back under that one. And then over, under, okay? And now you have this big loop out here, all right? So we're gonna pull that through. That's an important step. You can't forget that. You pull it through. Okay, don't pull it really, really tight so that your piece of yarn starts to come in like this. You wanna leave it, you don't want it loose, but you wanna leave it looser than that, okay? Now here's the last thing I'm gonna show you. Let's say I do it wrong. So I ended on an under, so let's say I go back under, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, and I pull it through. Okay, you see how this loop, usually this loop, when you do it right, it makes a loop around this. Do you see how both sides of the loop are going back under it? So what's gonna happen is your whole thing is just gonna pull out. Oh no. And that does sometimes happen. So if it does, just learn your lesson and go back. So we did it on an under, so I'm gonna go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, pull it through. Okay, and I ended on an under, so I go back over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and then you pull that loop through. And if you've done it right, at least on the end, and don't forget to scooch it up. If it gets a little too tight here and your thing starts to come in, just pull it back a little bit, okay? And scooch it to the top every time, all right? So we're gonna start together one more time. Let me show you how to start it. You take your piece of yarn, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, pull it through, and leave a tail. So everybody do that, and then come back. Okay, so now I ended on an under. If you ended on an over, you have to do it different for me. I ended on an under, so I go back over the first piece, under the second piece. Over, under, over, under, over, under. And when you pull it through, you pull that loop through like this. Not too tight, and then you scooch it up. All right, the last one I'm gonna show you. I did on an under, so go back over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Pull it through. Scooch it to the top, okay? Now you're gonna keep doing that until you run out of yarn. You're gonna keep pulling it through and back and back and through. And when you run out of yarn, you're gonna leave another little tail hanging, and then you can do another piece, okay? Okay, so I'm done. I've got my 2 tails on each end, and we'll come back, or I'll come back one day and get those fixed up, okay? I'm gonna do a rainbow, so I'm gonna do orange next. So you don't have to do the same as I do. You can do purple and pink. You can make it however you want, okay? Blues, greens, and purples, I don't care. But we're gonna start the second piece exactly how we did the first piece. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Pull it through. Leave a tail. Okay, see I got my little tail? And then I'm gonna weave it back. I ended on an under, so I go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, pull it through. And if you do it right, it should make a loop around this end piece. Don't pull too tight, and scooch it up, okay? Always be scooching it up. Over, under, over, under. So then you're gonna do your second piece, your third piece. All your pieces are like this. You leave a tail on the first one. You pull the loops through as you go and scooch them up. And then at the end, when you run out and you can't make it all the way back again, you leave that tail too. And I'll take care of the tails another day, okay? So you just keep weaving. We're gonna weave this week and next week to make sure we have nice full weavings. So we're gonna weave all the way down with whatever colors you want, okay? So you just keep getting a new piece, over, under, pull it through, over, under, pull it through. You keep doing that this week and next week until you're done, okay?